Hello everyone, Namaste. Welcome back to session 6 of our free OTM training series. We are now getting really close to OTM. Today's session is crucial because we are going to focus specifically on transportation management and transportation management systems. Let me quickly remind you of our journey. In this session, we have seen the big picture, that is OTM, transportation, logistics, supply chain, everything, and we connected the dots. In the session 2, we have seen the evolution of logistics and supply chain management. In the session 3, we have taken the supply chain management itself. We have seen the plan, source, make, deliver, and return. In the session 4, which was the first part of logistics, deep dive, and session 5 was the second part of logistics. Now in this session 6, we are going to see the transportation in detail. So it is the first part of the transportation. There might be a second part of the transportation come if this session goes lengthy. So we have been zooming in level by level. Today we reach the specific domain where OTM operates, that is transportation. So by this end of this transportation session, you will understand what transportation management really involves, key transportation decisions and challenges, transportation modes in detail, transportation cost and pricing, what is a TMS, and why companies need TMS, key functions of TMS, and how TMS creates value. This session is the foundation for understanding OTM because OTM is a TMS, it's Oracle's TMS. Once you understand what TMS does and why it's needed, learning OTM becomes much easier because you will understand the business context and the problem it solves. All right, let's dive in. Let's start with the fundamental question, what is transportation management? So, transportation. First, let's define transportation itself. So, transportation is equal to the physical movement of goods from one location to another using various modes. Okay, so we have point A and then we have point B. So this is origin and this is destination. So the movement of goods from A to B, that is from one location to another, is transportation. Simple concept, right? But here is where it gets interesting. Management. Transportation management is all about making all the decisions and coordinating all the activities involved in moving goods effectively and efficiently. So we have various key questions here. Okay. So the first thing, how do we move the right goods using the right mode via the right route? Fourth, with the right carrier. Fifth, at the right time and at the right cost. So right, okay, right good, right mode, right route, right carrier, right time, and right cost. Sounds familiar, right? It's the logistics rights applied specifically to transportation. So these are the things we do management in the transportation management. Now it has various phases. Okay, so it starts with planning, transportation planning. After planning, we do the execution, and then we do the tracking while executing, and then we settle and analyze, and after the analysis, we again plan. So let me explain each phase. Okay, so first plan. The planning phase, so it has first thing order consolidation. I have 50 customer orders to fulfill. Should I send 50 separate shipments? No, it will be too expensive, right? So we will consolidate group orders going to the same region and it will create the optimized loads. So for example, order 1, okay, order 2, order 3, and these all orders are in Delhi. Okay, so source is Delhi. Then we will load it, create a load 1 or shipment 1. Okay, shipment 1, and then send it by road to Mumbai. Okay, now order 4, order 5, order 6. These are also at Delhi. We created load 2 or shipment 2 and send it to Chennai. So this is how order consolidation happens. So instead of sending 6 individual shipments, we have sent only 2 shipments because all 6 orders were from Delhi, but 3 of orders from were required to go to Mumbai. So we created 1 shipment for that, and another 3 were required to go to Chennai. We created another shipment for that. So this is very basic, but in actual, the order consolidation is very complex thing. So we can think of how many orders Flipkart gets every day and for how many thousands and thousands of different locations, and you can imagine how difficult it will be the order uh, consolidation for Flipkart or Amazon. Okay, now second thing is mode selection. So first thing, order consolidation in the planning. Second thing in the planning is the mode selection. Should this go by truck, train, ship, or air? Okay, so what are the variables which decides the mode? First is speed. If we need more speed, we will consider air. If we need less speed, then we can consider other. Then, so variables here, first is speed. Second is cost. So if we want to pay less, then air would not air can't be selected, right? And if we have more budget, then we can select air. Then again, the distance. For example, if some cargo has to move for very small distance, then probably road would be the best mode. Then it can be also dependent on what we are going to ship, that is cargo type. So some cargo which is bulk in nature can be shipped through ocean. Some cargo which is very expensive and low volume, low weight in nature, for example, iPhones, can be shipped through air. Okay, so this is mode selection. Third thing we see in the planning is route optimization. So what's the best path from A to B? So if we want to go from A to B, we can go this way, we can go this way, and we can go this way. So we have to figure out what's the best path from A to B. And what are the variables here to decide the route? So again, distance, because we want to travel minimum distance. Then traffic. Sometime this may be of minimum distance, but there is a huge traffic here. So we want to avoid the traffic and go to, we may travel extra 10 kilometer to save 2 hours delay in the traffic, right? So distance, then traffic. Third is toll. Sometime we change the route to avoid the toll. Then driver's hours, because if more hours are involved, we have to pay more to the driver. So these are the variables for route optimization. And for multi-stops, what is the optimal sequence? If we want, okay, so from A, we want to deliver something to the B, C, D, E. Okay, so if we are creating multi-stop, so one way is to go A to B to C to D to E, right? Another way maybe A to C, then B, then D, then E. So like that, there might be various routes for multi-stop. So say we have gone from A to B to C to D, and it took 450 kilometers. Okay. But if we go from A to C to B to D to E, it may take 420 kilometers, for example. Now, since this is saving 30 kilometers, so it's better, second one. Okay. So that was route optimization. Then another factor is carrier selection. So which transport provider to use, and here we will compare the rate, the service quality, the capacity, the reliability. So first rate, then service quality, then capacity and reliability. So that's the carrier selection. And fifth one is the load optimization. How to pack the truck efficiently, maximize utilization without overloading. So these are the 5 important things that we consider under transportation planning. Okay. So we have seen this: plan, execute, track, settle, and analyze. Now inside the planning, we have order consolidation, mode selection, route optimization, carrier selection, and load optimization. Okay, now let's see execute. So after planning, we do the execution. So in execution, what we do? First we do the booking or tendering. Okay. So we formally book the shipment with selected carrier, because in planning we have selected a carrier. Now we formally book this with the selected carrier. We send the tender to the carrier. What is tender? So it's a offer to the transport, and the carrier may accept or reject. So many times we send the multiple tender to carrier one, multiple tenders to different carrier, carrier one, carrier two, carrier three, and based on what carrier accepts this tender, the shipment will be awarded. So suppose the carrier one accepted, or carrier one has given the lowest bid, in that case carrier one will be awarded the tender. Okay. So if carrier one has given $10, carrier two has given $20, and carrier three has given $15, so carrier one will be awarded this tender. So that is booking and tendering. Then we have documentation. Okay, so under the documentation, we generate the shipping document. What are the document? For example, bill of lading, then packing list, then commercial invoice sometimes, and so on. Sometimes if it is an international shipment, we may also put the customs document. Okay, so first is in execution, first we do the booking and tendering, second we do the documentation. Now the third thing here is the communication. Okay, so first send pickup instruction to the courier, notify warehouse to prepare the shipment, inform customer about the expected delivery. So these things comes under communication. Then after communication, the actual pickup or loading will happen. Courier arrives at the origin, goods loaded onto vehicle, and documentation signed. So that in loading. Then once the loading happened, then vehicle will go to the transit, and then we will be doing in transit management. Okay. Here we will monitor the shipment's progress, handle exceptions. For example, if some delay is happening, some issues are happening in between in transit, we will handle that, and we communicate everything with the stakeholders. So that's in transit management. So in the execution also, these five major things are done. One is booking, tendering, then documentation, communication, loading, and in transit management. Now we will do tracking. So in the tracking, what happens? So for example, first tracking will happen whether it's picked up or not. Okay. Once pick up, then it will go to the in transit. Then it may go to a hub stop. So there also the tracking will happen. Then again it will go to the in transit. Then at last it will go for out for delivery. Out for delivery. And then delivered. In this complete cycle, at each place we will be doing tracking. There will be real-time location updates through GPS tracking, status updates, for example, picked up, in transit, delivered. Then there will be ETA, estimated time of arrival, calculations, and proactive alerts, for example, for delays or issues, and customer visibility, that is tracking number. So how the tracking looks? For example, customer view, your order is 50 kilometer away, expected deliver time is 2:30 p.m. to 3 p.m. or driver so and so and vehicle 1234 will be delivered. Okay, so that's how it tracking looks like. Then after track we will be doing the settlement. So that comes fourth, settle. So once the delivery is complete, then courier sends the invoice. We This invoice is verified. Then this invoice will be matched with the contracted rates. It will be approved for payment and then paid to courier. So these processes comes under settlement. Okay. So what are the activities here? So first activity is invoice receiving. Courier sends the freight invoice and we receive that. Second activity, audit. Is this charge correct? Check against contract rate, because the courier might have contracted for 100 rupees and then it may charge 110 rupees. That needs to be audited. Then verify the distance, weight, accessorials, etc. And many times these invoice will be having error. So that we will do under auditing. Then we do the accessorial charge management. So for example, there might be base freight charge plus some additional charge in the form of accessorial. So for example, detention charge. So if driver waited for long, then there might be a detention charge, or there might be some lumper fee. For example, unloading help we take from the lumper fee, detention. There can be a fuel surcharge or lift gate service. So this kind of things comes under accessorial. Then payment processing. So approve the correct invoices, pay within terms and handle disputes on incorrect invoices. That comes under payment processing. And we also do cost allocation. So allocate cost to correct customer or order, and important for profitability analysis. For example, there is a truck. Okay, and this truck is carrying goods from for 10 customer. Okay, like this 10 customer. For first customer 100 items, for second customer 50, for third customer 150, and so on. So overall, if overall truck pricing is 10,000 for 1000 items, then per item it will be 10 10 rupees. So for 100 items for the customer A, it would be 1000 rupees. So the cost allocated to the order from the customer A first order, it will go to 1000 rupees. For the second customer, it may be 500 and so on. So that is cost allocation. So these five things comes under the settlement part. Invoice receipt, audit, accessorial, payment processing, and cost allocation. Then at last we do the analyze. So here various things are there. First is performance metrics. Performance matrices. What is the on-time delivery percent? What is cost per shipment? What is cost per mile or per kilometer? Career performance ratings and so on. Then second is spend analysis. So what is the total transportation spendings? What is the by lane spending, by carrier spending or by mode spending, and identify savings opportunity wherever available. So those things under spend analysis. Then we have network optimization. So are we using optimal routes? Should we change carrier mix or should we consolidate more? Comes under this. And then fourth, continuous improvement. What went wrong? Do the root cause analysis. What went right? Make it as a best practice. How can we improve? Okay, this comes under continuous improvement. So we have seen the complete cycle. It starts with the plan, and in planning we do strategic decisions. Then after planning we do the execution. Here we make it happen. Then track, monitor the progress. Then settle, that means pay correctly. And at last analyze. Analyze, that means learn and improve. And this analysis again gives an input to the plan. So that is the complete cycle. And managing this complete cycle manually, it's extremely difficult for any company shipping more than a few orders per day. This is why the transportation management system exists. Okay, so now let's understand key transportation decisions. The major decisions that transportation managers faces every day. These decisions are complex because they involve trade-offs. Optimizing one thing often makes another thing worse. Okay, so here the decision one is which mode should we take? Okay, mode. So we have first road. Now this road has, let's take the different variable: speed, cost, flexibility, capacity. Okay, so this road has medium speed. What is cost? Cost is also medium. What is flexibility? Flexibility is very high. And what is capacity? It is small to medium. Now we have another mode which is train or rail. So in train we have speed which is slow. What is the cost in train? Low. What is the capacity? Very high. And what is the flexibility? Which is low. Then we have ocean or ship. Okay, so in ocean the speed is very slow, cost is very low, flexibility it is low because it has fixed ports. You can't stop a vessel here and there. And the capacity is extremely high, very high capacity. One vessel can contain hundreds of truckload. Then fourth we have air. Okay, in air speed is very fast, cost is very high, capacity is limited which is very low, and flexibility, sorry, this is flexibility. So flexibility is medium in air. Okay, flexibility is medium and capacity is very limited, low. Now let's also understand what is the uses. So let's one more variable best for. Okay, so road is best for door to door, for short to medium distances, either short or medium distances. Now train is best for bulk goods and long distance over land. Then ocean, it is best for international shipping and very high volume. And air, it is best for urgent cases, high value goods and perishable goods. Now let's see the trade-off. So in the trade-off, we have in one axis cost and another axis time. So for road, we have medium cost and medium time. So say suppose our road is here. Then for air, cost is very high and time is very low. So here we have air. Then for rail, the time is high, cost is lower than road. So we have rail here. And ocean, time is very high, but cost is very low. So we have ocean here. Okay. So remember this. And this is the, we can say this as a fast, this is slow. And this is cheap, this is expensive. Okay. So can't we have both the fast as well as cheap? No, right? So if it is very fast, then it will be expensive. If it is cheap, then it will be slow. So the cost also depend on the speed. So let's assume some example scenario. So let's take example of shipping from China to USA. Example. Shipping from China to US. Now what is the need? We need, so let's take a one scenario one. A new iPhone launch. Okay. What is the need? We need fast delivery because our product is high value. So what we will select? Air. Cost, say suppose $10 per iPhone and time 2 days. So that is one scenario. Now scenario 2, here we have regular replenishment. Now here what is requirement? We need cost efficiency and we have buffer time. Okay. So we will select ocean and here the cost might be $1 per iPhone and time it would be 30 days. So we have same product iPhone, we have different decisions based on context. When we need very fast delivery because of launch of iPhone, we selected air, otherwise we selected ocean, and the cost may be huge. Here maybe $1 or less, here $10 or more. So that's the first uh, decision factor, that is mode. Okay. Now let's go to the next one. Truckload versus less than truckload. So let's understand what is a truckload. So you have a truck Okay. You filled all the your cargo in this truck. Okay, and you close it. Now it will directly go from A to B. You want it go from A to B, you booked the full truck, loaded it, and now it will go from A to B. There is no stops in between. Okay. What is the advantage here? It is faster, it needs less handling, and it has less damage risk. And if we are sending full, that is 100% utilized, then there will be low cost per unit. And when it should be used? When we have large shipment. Say suppose we have 10,000 kg. Okay. And when we can utilize the complete truck, when we can fill the truck. So that was truckload. When we directly book a truck and it will go from point A to point B. Then we have less than a truckload, LTL. So TL is also called FTL, full truckload. In the less than truckload, we have a truck. Okay. And we own only a part of truck. So there is customer 1 whose goods are loaded here, then customer 2, customer 3, 4, 5, 6, and one truck is taking goods of 6 customers. So all the truck loaded at point A. Now it will go to the B, C, D, and so on. Okay. So in case of less than truckload, we have multi stops. It is not direct. So for example, we have company 1 who has given 2 pallets. We have company 2 who has given 3 pallets. Company 3 who has given 1 pallet. And say suppose truck has the capacity of 10 pallets. Then we have 3 plus 2, 5, 1, 6. Then company 4 has given 4 pallets. So everything is consolidated at the consolidated consolidation center. Okay. And then it will go to the stop by stop the destinations. Okay. What is here the advantage? It is cheaper for small shipments, and we pay only for the space we used. Pay as we use. What is disadvantage? It is slower because it has multi stops. Then it has more handling. That means high risk to damage. When can we use? When we have small shipments and we can't pull a truckload. Okay. So first we have seen mode selection. Then we have seen if we selected road, then we have truckload and less than truckload. Then see the decision 3, what we do. Own versus outsource. So whether we should be owning the fleets, that means trucks, or we should outsource our transportation needs to the outside truck operator. So if we have private fleet, that means we own the fleet. What are the advantages? We have full control over service. Then we have dedicated capacity. Then no carrier availability issues, that means high availability. Then potentially lower cost at high volume. What are the disadvantages? High capital investment because we have to buy trucks, capex. Then there are some fixed costs whether we ship the goods or not, because we have to give pay to the driver, we have the maintenance, insurance and so on, and we must manage the fleet operations, so there is high management involved, and truck may return empty, so the deadhead. And this private fleet is good for when we have large predictable volume, then dense delivery network, and specialized requirements. So that is maintaining the private fleet or owning the fleet. Now let's see the for hire carriers or outsource. What is the advantages? So most of the disadvantages in the owning, it comes here advantage. So one is low capital investment, low capex. Then it is variable cost, pay as you use, pay per shipment. Then it has flexibility. Whenever scale will up or down, so we can accordingly do the payment. There is no fixed cost. Okay. Then we get the expertise of carrier because their core business is shipping, so they are more expert on the this area. Then we have access to high capacity based on carrier. Now what are the disadvantage? Less control. Capacity may not be available in peak season. Okay. Then rates may fluctuate and service quality may vary or may go down. And this is good for first variable volumes when we don't have the dedicated volume. Then if it is seasonal business, and if we have to do wide geographic coverage because we can't send our fleet everywhere. And there is third thing, which is hybrid approach. So many company own their fleets as well as they also outsource, which is hybrid approach. So their private fleet that handles the core lanes where regularly they ship, where there is high volume and which is predictable. And they hire to handle the overflow, seasonal peaks, special requirements, or long distance irregular lanes. For example, Coca-Cola. So they have private fleet which delivers to the major retailers into the metro area, and for hire carriers which handles remote locations, special events and seasonal peaks. Okay, now let's go to the next decision, decision number 4, and which is about route. Route optimization. So here problem is multiple delivery stops are there, and what is the best sequence of route? Okay, so you have one truck with 5 delivery stop. Okay, so we have A, stop A, then B, D, C, E. Okay, now what can be the possible routes? So the route 1 can be A to B, then B to C, C to D, and D to E. Okay, so route 1 can be A, B, C, D, E, and so suppose it's 180 kilometer. Then route 2 can be A to B, and then B to D, then D to E, and E to C. So A to B to D to E to C, and this is 210 kilometer. And the third route can be A to C to E to D to B, that will be 170 kilometer. So this one is the best route, right? So we have 5 stops. So suppose we have 5 stops. So with 5 stops, we have 5 into 4 into 3 into 2, that means 120 possible routes. Okay, and with 10 stops, it will become 3.6 million possible routes with 25 stops, more combinations than atoms in universe. And this is complex mathematical problem. Humans can't solve this optimally. We need algorithms, we need computers, we need TMS. Okay, so these were the key decisions that we need to take under transportation management. So we have seen first decision, mode selection, where to use road, rail, ocean or air. Then we have seen the second decision, if we take road, then whether it should be a TL or LTL. Third decision, whether we should own our fleet or outsource the fleet. And then fourth one is route optimization. Now we will see in the next session about the transportation challenges. So what are the challenges in the transportation? Then we will see transportation modes in detail, So as of now, we have seen in the high level. So we will go even deeper in the transportation modes